When I think of the strongest Pokemon from Kanto, I can't help but think Alakazam, starting with that amazing speed and special attack. As a psychic type, Alakazam is incredibly versatile in terms of its moveset, with access to moves like Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Focus Blast, Stab Psychic, and or Size Shot. Setup options like Substitute, Disable, and Calm Mind. On top of that, if Alakazam makes it into Galar eventually down the line. Pursuit is no longer in the game, which means that Alakazam is a much safer Pokemon to use in battle, which is very good. One of the biggest weaknesses for Alakazam was Dark types with Pursuit trapping and pinking it off, but that is no longer a worry. On the topic of Alakazam, its counterpart who actually made it into Galar from the get-go and even got a G-Max form, Gengar, has also had a huge buff in Gen 8 with access to moves like Nasty Plot and once again losing that fear of being Pursuit trapped. Ghost types have proven to be incredibly strong in this new gen in format. Look at other terrifying Pokemon being used commonly: Mimikyu, Dragapult, Aegislash, and of course Gengar. Ghost type Pokemon always have really tricky moves to pick from when it comes to its moveset. If we take a quick look over at Smogon, we can see that the most common set today is the Revenge Killer set, which is a Choice Scarf Gengar of Shadow Ball and Sludge Wave for Stab, as well as Focus Blast and Dazzling Gleam for Pokemon such as Tyranitar and Hydreigon. Gengar is super effective against Fairy types with its Sludge Wave Stab, which is pretty big considering how many good Fairy types there are, like for example Togekiss and Clefable, who see regular use in the higher parts of the OU ladder. One thing that both Alakazam and Gengar do lack though is a good defense, and I'm sure you guys have heard the saying, a good defense is a great offense, and I can't think of a Pokemon who encaptures that more than man's best friend, the legendary Pokemon Arcanine. With the incredible Intimidate ability, Arcanine will reduce the attack of the opposing Pokemon it faces, making sure that this fluffy friend will take next to no damage whatsoever. By just looking at Arcanine's base stats, we see it has 90 base HP, 110 attack, which we will get back to, 80 in both defense and special defense, 100 special attack, and 95 speed. Base 90 HP and 80 defense is fantastic when you add on Intimidate, which makes the opponent lose attack. Arcanine will be eating up physical hits like no tomorrow, and it doesn't slack on the special side either. Going back to that attack stat I mentioned before, at 110 allows Arcanine to certainly pack a punch as well. As a physical attacker, you can max out Arcanine's attack stat to 168 if you play with an Adamant Nature at level 50. That on top of an interesting physical move pool with moves like Close Combat, Extreme Speed, Flare Blitz, and Wild Charge, this dog is certainly more bite than just bark. That being said, to support the more defensive side, which is people's perspective when playing over on Smogon and Pokemon Showdown, you'll see they opt for a defensive set, using the items Heavy Duty Boots to ignore Stealth Rocks, Rocky Helmet to punish physical attackers, or Leftovers to maintain a healthy wall. And to that set, the moves that follow are Will-O-Wisp, Morning Sun, Flamethrower, and Roar. With the introduction of Pokemon Home, one of my favorite Kanto Pokemon have come back to us, and that is none other than the shellfish Pokemon and water starter Blastoise. This turtle, who has been put out of the spotlight for too long due to the sheer popularity of Charizard, has stepped up to the plate with a nice super buff in Generation 8. This turtle tank can now Shell Smash to raise its speed and offense to make sure Blastoise brings the pain on the battlefield, with moves like Scald or Hydro Pump depending on preferences. I personally prefer Scald for the accuracy and the burn chance, but Hydro Pump is better in terms of raw power. Ice Beam for those grass and dragon types that'll let the switch in on Blastoise, and then the last move is completely up to you. There is Aura Sphere for Pokemon like Tyranitar and Ferrothorn, Flash Cannon for those pesky fairy types like Clefable and Togekiss, Focus Blast if you really want to risk the accuracy instead of Aura Sphere. Optionally, you can have Rapid Spin, which not only got boosted from 20 base power to base 50, but now on top of removing hazards, it also increases your speed by 1 stage, which is a great reason to run Rapid Spin over possibly Defog on other Pokemon for the team. But I don't think that this turtle is only here to pack a punch, because it's more well known for being a big chunky water type, and we have a lot of those. Defensively, Blastoise gets access to Toxic for slowly whittling down the opponent's defensive options. Life Dew is a small means of recovery, although it's only 25%, but it's something. Iron Defense can be used alongside Body Press as a potential annoying set, something like Rest, Sleep Talk with Body Press and Iron Defense. Looking at Blastoise stats, we can see it's very versatile, but more defensively oriented. But thanks to Shell Smash, that can be changed. Blastoise is 79 base HP, 83 base attack, 100 defense, 85 special attack, 105 special defense, and 78 speed. Overall, a very strong option, and I'm super excited to see more from the shellfish Pokemon in Gen 8. From one starter to another, we have the Sun King and Weather Beast. Give it up for the seed Pokemon, number 3 in the Pokedex, Venusaur. Once again, thanks to Pokemon Home, the remaining 2 Kanto starters will be able to return to us, and I'm super excited about Venusaur. Unfortunately, it doesn't have its defensive tank Megaform anymore, but what it lacks in, it makes up for with Chlorophyll on Sun teams. Sure, compared to some of the other Pokemon I brought up, Venusaur might not be as versatile, but I wouldn't call it off just yet. Sure, its team is a bit limited, but under the sun, Venusaur is a scary threat. Base 80 base speed double in Sun and access to growth, which is a free +2 attack and special attack. Who knows what move comes out after that? Sludge Bomb perhaps to make light work of most that stand before Venusaur, Giga Drain as a means of recovery, Earthquake to take care of those steel and fire types like Aegislash, Excadrill and Cineroar, or many more. Maybe you guessed wrong and sent in your special wall only to be met by a Petal Blizzard, or even a knockoff. All I'm trying to say is, despite the fact that Venusaur's best friend in Galar is Torkoal and Cantonian Ninetales, that doesn't mean that Venusaur is not versatile and very strong. Base 82 attack and 100 special attack with a growth under Sun is terrifying, and you won't know what set Venusaur really is until it begins to attack. Even then, there's also defensive Venusaur that is not on Sun teams, and on a defensive one you might see Leech Seed, Toxic, Synthesis and Giga Drain, or Sludge Bomb holding the Black Sludge. With base 80 HP, 83 defense, and 100 special defense, Venusaur is most certainly capable of taking a hit. Now I'm sure you're all expecting Charizard in this next part, but honestly, Charizard just isn't all of that. 4 times weak to rock is something that has always held Charizard back. And I'm sure a few of you are already in the comment section saying, but Mystic, heavy duty boots makes it so Charizard doesn't take Stone Rock damage. And to that, I say you're right, but the big thing is that it limits what Charizard can do. Sure, you'll probably see him on teams of Venusaur thanks to drop from Torkoal or Ninetales, but Solar Power is also just like a Life Orb. But even if you roost, Solar Power will bite at you. So the best bet for sheer power is either a Specs or Life Orb Charizard, and with that, you have your health disappearing super fast, and you won't have access to heavy boots to deny the Stealth Rock damage. If we had Gigantamax Charizard still available, then I would absolutely talk about that, because Max Airstream and Gmax Wildfire are incredible moves, but unfortunately, thanks to Smogon rules, that is banned. But I'm sure Zard can be super fun in doubles. Instead, I'm actually going to bring up a Pokemon I've mentioned a few times in this video already, and that is the Slayer of Dragons and adorable menace, Clefable. Since Gen 6 and the introduction to Fairy typing, Clefable has ascended to the OU tier, and it's consistently been a thorn in players' sides. With Fairy being such a phenomenal typing and access to the ability Unaware for defensive Clefable to just ignore setup sweepers, or Magic Guard to ignore hazards and toxic damage, as well as hiding the fact that you're holding a Life Orb if you want to be offensive. Yes, Magic Guard ignores the cost for Life Orb, so you get a 30% increase in your damage output without paying that 10% health per attacking move. On top of that, as Clefairy and Clefable were normal types before, they adapted the Fairy type in Clefable, and that has an insanely versatile move pool. With a quick look over at Smogon, we can see the preferred sets are the Life Orb Breaker set with the moves Moonblast, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, and the last slot is either Moonlight or Stealth Rock. Flamethrower and Thunderbolt allow a modest Life Orb Clefable to 2-hit KO Pokemon such as Toxapex, Aegislash, Corviknight, and Ferrothorn, who otherwise like to switch in and set up on Clefable. On the other hand, the most popular set is a utility set for Clefable, utilizing its defensive capabilities, with the moves Thunder Wave or Stealth Rock, Moonblast, Wish, and Protect. This Clefable likes to hold the item leftovers for passive recovery, and has a calm nature that take more special hits, but the EVs are most spent on its physical defense. Let's take a quick look at those stats, shall we? Clefable has a very respectable HP stat of 95, special attack of 95, defensive 73, and a special defense of 90, which allows this adorable and annoying wall to stand through most things. By pairing Clefable up with, say, Corviknight and Dragapult, you will see that this pink monstrosity is more than just what meets the eye. Straight from the Lake of Rage. Wait, that's in Johto. The point still stands, was a Kanto Pokemon in that lake. I think Gyarados belongs in this discussion when I think more about it. I mean, Gyarados has always been a monster in the competitive scene, really. Sword and Shield is no different. With access to heavy boots to avoid Stealth Rock damage, this atrocious Pokemon will force switches and set up Dragon Dance in your face, closely following up with a Waterfall, Bounce potentially, Earthquake is a solid option. Gyarados can also use moves like Crunch, Iron Head, and Power Whip. Gyarados can even pop behind a substitute to get a free turn to do whatever it wants. With the abilities Moxie and Intimidate, you can choose yourself what you want Gyarados to do for you, enforcing switches from physical attackers, or maybe just be a super yourself. I personally have a preference for Intimidate thanks to the forcing of switches, but Moxie is very good too. If we take a quick look at Gyarados' stats, we'll see that it has base 95 HP, which allows it to sponge most neutral hits and even some super effective hits. Base 125 attack, which is Gyarados' moneymaker, and makes sure that its moves hit hard. A decent defense at base 79, a less than decent base 60 special attack, base 100 special defense, which is rather nice, and base 81 speed, which is what I would deem just above average. But thanks to Dragon Dance, that base 125 attack and 81 speed each gets raised by 1 stage, allowing Gyarados to do a lot of damage. Did I just make a Flux type reference? Sure, why not? And with a quick look over on Smogon, we can see that the most common Gyarados set is a Dragon Dance set with Moxie, Jolly Nature, and either leftovers or heavy boots for the held item. The moves are Dragon Dance, Waterfall, Bounce, and either Substitute or Earthquake. Gyarados is just an exceptional late game cleanup Pokemon and embodies sheer power. Now, what if I told you there is a Pokemon that can do exactly what all these other Pokemon do, but sometimes a little worse and other times a little better? I have your attention now, don't I? Well, I present to you all a Pokemon so dangerous that if you don't look out, it can wipe out your entire team and it will be all your fault. With only access to one move and not seeing its true form for more than like max 10 seconds, I present to you all the ever so infamous failed clone of Mew, if that theory is correct, Ditto. Ditto is a terrifying Pokemon from Kanto, and that's all thanks to its hidden ability, Impostor, which just copies its opponent's stat for stat including boosts, except for the HP stat. Max out that relatively low base 48 HP and switch into whatever sweeper, wall breaker, or whatever might threaten you in the field with this pink or blue little blob, and copy your opponent's set. Give Ditto a choice scarf and watch as the set your opponent built will be their own undoing. Ditto, for such a simple concept, is a deadly threat to face off against, and I think that perfectly captures the strongest Pokemon from Kanto. Take what your opponent deems strong and beat them with it. Well, I think that wraps up the strongest Pokemon from Kanto. Did Ditto surprise you? I'm sure it did to some of you. Some of you are probably expecting Alakazam. And I mean, it is really strong, but Ditto is just a nut job. So, what's your favorite Kanto Pokemon though? And what do you deem the strongest? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on MysticSage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, Nigma97, and Kermit117 did, and I wanted to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbran, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.